Greg Jennings is joining us here in a new suit.
And also, before you ask a question, real quick, that's why you hold out.
Yes.
I understand he's been criticized because he had the drops, and people are like,
he hadn't
played well. The reason you hold out is because football is a brutal, violent sport, and he hadn't, I'm sad he got hurt. I'm very happy he got his money.
Absolutely.
Do you trust Purdy to save the 49ers season, bro?
If they, and Debo looks like he'll be back. I mean, pneumonia, I don't know how long he'll be out. But if they get Debo, Kittle, and Jawan Jennings, who should play this week, may play this week, but he's a number 3 receiver. I think if they just have those guys and Jordan Mason as the running back, who knows when McCaffrey will get back, then Purdy will play well enough to keep them in the hunt. They got a tough road ahead of them, even if they're healthy, just because their schedule, we talked about it yesterday, is so tough, and now and their defense isn't as good as it used to be. I trust Purdy to do this as much as I trust any tier 2 quarterback. So I'm talking about after Mahomes, Lamar, Allen, Burrow, C.J. Stroud. I'll throw him in that group. After that, Dak, we see Dak without a running game. Doesn't look good. I don't think Baker's carrying Tampa Bay to the playoffs if Godwin looks like he is out, if Evans is out as well. Matthew Stafford, his numbers he got 3 touchdowns and 4 interceptions without Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. So this is the level I think Purdy's at. I don't expect him to do what Allen would do in this situation. But if he gets some of those guys back, I think they'll be in the hunt for the playoffs.
Yeah, you're exactly right. No, I'm going to just say, no, I don't trust Purdy to save the 49ers season. And simply because he's at the stage in his career where he still needs the other guys. I'm not saying he doesn't make the other guys better, because he does to a degree, but they make him definitely better. That's unquestioned. That's without doubt. The stats suggest that. His record suggests that. And so and I believe this is a season where this is going to help him move forward. You don't believe he should get paid. I do believe he should get paid.
I believe this will determine whether or not he should get paid.
No, I think if
you think 60.
I mean,
that's the rate.
Honestly, I think what they should do, and I don't know him obviously at all, but I feel like he might have the person. If I go to them, I'm the Niners. I'm like, look, we want to give you like 50.
So nobody does that.
That's all right. Mahomes isn't getting all the money he could get.
Mahomes, nobody. But when you say that, literally nobody is.
All right, but he might look to keep guys around him. I think he knows who he is. Yeah, I know you don't, but
right now, I'm not saying continue. If his career continues, he will still need the guys as he continues to progress in his career. But right now, where he is, he needs those guys. They need him. And to your point, there's not many quarterbacks in this league. Could you name 5 in this league
that could just do it on their own? That part's totally true. But there's a difference between being able to propel a team that on your own, so to speak. And I think your list is a good one. And by the way, I think Burrow is great. We haven't seen it's projection that Burrow could do it. I know you. Yeah. I don't want to try to have Burrow argument.
I would take issue with Josh Allen. We saw Josh Allen falter against
the Ravens, he can get a team to the playoffs.
No, but
they're like, we need Amari Cooper.
They can't win any Super Bowl, but he can get them to the playoffs.
And there is a difference between being able to propel do what Mahomes did 2 years ago, which is win the MVP, have the highest scoring offense in the league with McCole Hardman and Juju and those guys. That's a one-of-one thing. Sky Moore, yeah. That's take him out of it. The question is, are they totally sunk? In my opinion. Is Purdy going to be a deficit on them without these guys? And I don't think Purdy can save their season. I think Christian McCaffrey might be able to. The Niners, the line of demarcation for this team is Christian McCaffrey. It was why they traded for him before anybody knew Brock Purdy's name. And it's, in my opinion, why that is the most significant injury they've suffered this year, is him not being around. We can show you the numbers over the last 3 years. This isn't a Brock Purdy thing, because there's some Jimmy G in there. There's even a couple Trey Lance. Was Trey Lance starting then? I think so. That's when he broke his leg. Yeah. With Christian McCaffrey, they're unreal. And one of those losses was the game they got all their quarterbacks hurt in the NFC title game. Another was overtime in the Super Bowl. And without him, they're just not that good. And There is, and I know, I'm the bad guy on this. I think if C.J. Stroud, as great as everyone thinks he is, if C.J. Stroud, midway through this year, around the time of like his 25th career start, had a horrific game, and from that moment forward became a turnover-prone player, and the Texans went from winning 3 out of every 4 games to winning 1 out of every 3 games, we'd say, uh-oh. And that, by the way, whether you guys want to acknowledge it or not, is exactly what happened with Brock Purdy. Now, maybe he'll pull himself out of it, but we can show it to you. Since the Ravens, prior to the Ravens game, he was, forget even the team record, he was awesome. 47 touchdowns, 11 picks, a 118 rating. Since then, now we can say, but he played well in some of those spots in the second half. It's all true. But that's a 12-game sample.
I don't think you can dismiss that he was able to get them to the Super Bowl. And actually was the reason they came back and beat Detroit. Like he scrambling, had a couple 20-yard runs or at least one. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not denying that he had a brilliant second half of the NFC title game. I'm not.
And I think he was good in the Super Bowl. He wasn't Mahomes. He was good.
I'm not trying to take any of that away. What I am trying to say is those numbers are the numbers. It's a dozen games where his passer rating has dropped 35 points since the Ravens game. His touchdown-interception ratio went from 4-1, best in NFL history, to dead even. The team won 6 out of every 7 to 1 out of every 2. Those are the numbers. So asking that player in the midst of that to now, with the least talent he's ever played around, he's ever had around him, save us, he's not going to be able to.
Yeah,
I don't think they expect him to.
Yeah, and it's tough. It's tough, especially when you got guys who you haven't had a lot of time with at all, like Ronnie Bell.
Ronnie Bell, yep. The kid, Ricky Pearsall.
Ricky Pearsall. Like, you haven't even been on the field with these guys, let alone them understand what it takes to play. And they haven't even really been in situations where you expect their game to elevate. Right. It's going to take time. And it's time that they don't have because they're sitting at 3rd in their division right now today.
Yeah. Can I give a bright side real quick? Do we have time? Bright side is this. This is kind of the bright side of the downside. I know you guys think it's impossible, but if he does go full pumpkin these next 10 weeks, the Niners have avoided a disaster.
I feel like it's silly to discuss that.
Yeah,
of him going.
So you think hold on.
Like,
so you think it's silly to say over the next 12 games he will play exactly how he has over the previous 12 games? We just know the previous 12 games are an aberration.
I mean, one of the games was the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, the Super Bowl, NFC champ. Like what? 3 of those games are playoff games.
Yeah,
big time games that he played.
I think it's
he's not going pumpkin mode.
I don't think it's. I think it's a interesting graphic for me to buy into, that I look at kind of with like a chagrin. I would have to figure out. You're like, the book's out. I'm like, I need to know what does that mean? And I'm not saying like that might be something that we have to ask Mangini or like Greg. You can dive into the tape, but like what has changed? His length of target is like he's airing it out. Guys aren't there. What's different?
He's been a very ambitious, aggressive thrower. There's no doubt about it. But he was a guy who was incredible, despite throwing the ball last year down the field. Very good about taking care of the football, to a very turnover-prone player, and to my eye, a guy who has, maybe because of some of the scrambling success, a little Baker Mayfield and Cleveland-ish, thinks he's a little more escapable than he is, and he gets caught. And so we'll see. We're going to get to see it all play out.
Yeah, we'll see.
But I think it's, in my opinion, it's unfair to say it's impossible that the next 12 games are the last 12 games. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.